Hey, Glovelies, and welcome back to Glove. Actually, I'm Courtney.
I'm Hallie.
And I'm Melissa.
And this week we have lots to talk about. And later we are going to be joined by our new bestie, Rachel, who is a bookseller with The New Romantics, an indie bookstore local to Hallie and myself here in Orlando that specializes in romance novels. I know I've shouted it out a couple times on the pod, but this time we are going to get some insider info straight from the source. And we are going to talk to her all about New Romantics Sports Book Club and everything about our favorite romance novel tropes and more. But as always, if there's anything you want us to talk about here on the podcast, be sure to leave it in the comments and be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to the Glove Actually podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And be sure to turn on post notifications to stay in the loop when we post new episodes every Wednesday. All right, Glovelies, let's kick things off, as always, with our Pookies of the Week. Hallie, who is your Pookie of the Week this week?
My Pookie this week is my favorite author, Tessa Dare. She is a romance writer and has been taking a couple years off. I keep hoping for an update, for a newsletter update in my email, but she's my Pookie this week. I've selected her because we are talking about all things romance novels.
Love it.
Love it.
It's so topical. It's perfect.
Yes,
Melissa, who is your Pookie of the Week this week?
My Pookie this week, keeping it MLB, but also with the theme, I'm going to pick Bryce Harper of the Philadelphia Phillies this week. Not because of his amazing baseball skills, although they are amazing, but because he has admitted publicly that he reads romance novels, which I love. Mad respect to a man in the public eye that isn't afraid to admit that he dabbles in smutty romance books. Bryce has said that he loves L. Kennedy's books, which includes one of my favorites, The Deal. I love that he is a fan of Gary Graham too. He's one of my favorite book boyfriends. So to Bryce and any other MLB player that may be reading romance books on the DL, come talk to me on my Bookstagram account because I love baseball, but books are my number one favorite thing to talk about, and I will give you great recommendations because nothing brings more joy to me than recommending books and hearing the great feedback that you all love the story.
I love that. And I was going to say, not many people know this, but originally Melissa's she was just supposed to do the recommended segment every week on the podcast. And then the first episode, we were like, Melissa's just going to be our guest and it's going to be our test drive for the podcast. But it ended up working out so well that here we are.
Oh, thanks, guys. I love you guys. It's so much fun.
We love you too.
Courtney, who's your Pookie of the Week?
My Pookie of the Week has nothing to do with romance novels, but again, I'm always trying to kind of push myself out of my normal comfort zone when it comes to my Pookie. So this is actually someone who came across my feed kind of organically on Instagram. My Pookie this week is Fisher Polydoroff, who was just drafted in the 2026 Banana Ball draft to the Indianapolis Clowns. And Fisher is really interesting because he specializes in historical baseball, and his whole gimmick, he's known as Old Knuckles, and he sports a vintage style baseball uniform. I love that he's bringing a more historical aesthetic to something as modern as Banana Ball. I love that he's giving, I don't know how else to put it other than it's giving history. If you look him up on Instagram, you can see that he has such a deep reverence and respect for historical baseball. And his specific niche interest is in the Negro Leagues. And the Indianapolis Clowns were actually a historical Negro League team dating all the way back to the 1930s. Saw some huge names before they went on to eventual superstardom, like Hank Aaron. And they were actually the first team to hire a woman to a long-term baseball contract. And he collects Indianapolis Clowns merchandise. He has photos of him wearing it as a kid. So I love that he has this invisible string tie to the Indianapolis Clowns, and he's going to have a chance to play for them as they rejoin the professional baseball world as one of the two new Banana Ball teams for the 2026 season. So for that reason, Fisher Polydoroff, you are my Pookie of the Week this week.
I love that. I love that he's on the new team. I do have a question for Hallie. I wonder if he tucks his pants into his socks.
He better, because that's classic. That's old fashioned.
I know, right? If he's gonna be classic baseball, he better be tucking those pants.
Well, look him up on Instagram.
I'm right now looking him up. I love him already. Follow.
He's so great.
Follow,
Yes.
Fisher.
Fisher, if you want to come and talk Banana Ball with us, we will have you on anytime. All right, Glovelies, we want to hear from you. Who is your Pookie of the Week this week? Let us know in the comments and be sure to tag your Pookie if you can. All right, lovelies, we have a very exciting special guest to share with you today. We are joined today by our new bestie, Rachel, a bookseller at the New Romantics, an indie romance novel bookshop here in Orlando. Welcome, Rachel.
Hi, super excited to be here.
Awesome. We are so happy that you are here, and we can't wait to talk all things romance novels with you. But before we do, I want to know, who is your Pookie of the week this week?
Okay, so I have a very limited knowledge of baseball, but I do know that Shohei Ohtani, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
I've seen clips of his interviews and he's just so funny. And I think he's really, really hilarious. And to tie it back to romance, Maren Moore writes some of the best baseball romances and I love her. So those are both my Pookies of the week.
Love that. Okay, so we were at New Romantics like last week or the week before. I'm 99% sure one of the books that I bought is a Maren Moore book.
I think
I'm
it
not
was.
joking.
Yeah, I think it was.
Catching Feelings.
Catching Feelings, yep, that's the baseball romances.
Yes.
Yes. Those are
I
so
love
good.
it. Oh my gosh. Also, we talk about Shohei Ohtani on the podcast all the time because as I've said before, and I will probably say again, he's very Pookie, he's very baby girl.
Mhm.
So it's a great choice.
It's like the only one I know. So
That's
And what
okay.
a great one to know.
All right, Rachel. So I would love to kind of talk to you about all of our favorite things about romance novels, more specifically sports romance novels, because that's kind of like where our interests kind of intersect. And then I would also love to give you a rapid fire quiz and get your hot takes on our top 5 for this week. Does that sound good for you?
that sounds great.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about your role at New Romantics. What does a bookseller do?
So basically my role at the New Romantics is number one, to make sure everyone who comes in the store is welcomed, who can find like what they're looking for. A lot of people come into the store and we have shelf talkers that have like some of our favorites, but they also are just looking for like very specific niches. And they're like, can you give me a book that has this, this, and this? And we always love to, give them the best recommendations that have everything that they're looking for. So I'd say, yeah, my main role is to like have a great like community when everyone walks in the door and also give the best book recommendations.
Oh my God. That's the
Yes.
dream. That's the dream job right there.
Yes.
You're like a book matchmaker.
It's definitely the best part of the job. Like I am not great with one-on-one conversations, but when it has to do with books, I can talk for hours about all the books that I love to read and something that people would really like to, start reading.
Yes,
that.
me too. I can't do small talk for shit. You ask me about a book, I'm in. I can talk all day
100%.
long.
It's almost like finding 2 puzzle pieces that fit together. I love that.
Yes.
Who are some of your other favorite indie authors or authors of romance novels? They don't necessarily have to be indie authors, but just who are some of your favorites?
So I have a ton of favorite indie authors. Chelsea Curto, she's my number one. I love her so much. She writes hockey romance and contemporary romance as well. Diana Elliott Graham is a contemporary romance indie author, and long story short, she's the reason I even work at the bookstore. Kels and Denise Stone, they are 2 authors that write together. That they're an indie author like duo. Love them. They are amazing. Oh my gosh. I just have so many indie authors that I love. I can't even begin to name all of them.
Rachel, do the authors actually come into the store? They do signings at the store, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
that
like,
sounds amazing.
yeah, like almost every weekend we have indie authors who come into the store, typically on like Saturdays. There'll be 1 or 2 every weekend. So that's really exciting because we get to see so many indie authors that we might not have known about.
So kind of to piggyback off of that question, which authors that have come into the store have been like the most fun to work with? Do you have anyone that really stands out?
So Susan Lee she did 2 like big events with us, and she came into the store when I wasn't there, unfortunately. But in general, like Susan Lee is like the nicest author you will ever meet. She is just such a joy to be around. So I would say definitely her. There's been so many, like Nicole Devone came in and she wrote Second Swing, which is a golf romance. I have never read a golf romance, so it was super fun to read. And so when she was in the store, it was super exciting because I had already read her book before she was even there. So I just love like when I get to have that. Chelsea Curto came into the store. I won't ever shut up about her, but she is just the sweetest person ever. Peyton Corinne came into the store once and she saw my little shelf talker on the shelf and it was empty because we had taken all of her books off to have it signed. And she's like, oh, it's empty. And I'm like, no, they're over here. They're over here. But it was so cute. She like took a picture of my shelf talker and I was just like, ah.
That's so
cool.
sweet. I love that. So obviously you get to do some pretty exciting things in your role. What's the most exciting thing that you've had a chance to do with New Romantics?
There are so many exciting things. All of our like events are just so exciting. We did the Love Playbook event, which was again Chelsea Curto, Peyton Corinne, Carly Robin, Maren Moore. All four of them were there for like a panel essentially for sports romance. And I remember when they were first like telling us about the panel, and I'm like, so basically you made a panel for me because I am like the resident sports romance reader at the store. So I was just so excited that we were even doing the event. And then of course when the event happened, I was like in my favorite world essentially. Like it was such a great time. The Susan Lee events again were amazing. The most recent one we did, she brought Lila Sage as well. And Lila Sage writes cowboy romances and she is
Ooh.
absolutely amazing. And she is so stunning, especially in person. So those were all really exciting.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, I got one more question for you, but before I ask, I need you to kind of fill me in on what the New Romantics Sports Book Club is.
Yeah, so our sports romance book club basically is just everyone comes in, we pick a different sport. This year, we've actually managed to pick a different sport every single month, which has been really nice. Don't ask me how we did that. But yeah, we pick a different book each month. We try to pick a mix of traditionally published, indie published, a different sport each month. And then we also try to make sure that we're like reading diversely. So
Oh my
So
goodness.
if there are any listeners or hosts of this podcast that might want to join the New Romantics Sports Romance Book Club, how do people go about doing that?
So all of our book clubs are announced on our Instagram. So essentially we will post like a Google link to sign up for it. And I think that's usually like a week or two into the month. And once we post that on our broadcast channel and on our Discord, our broadcast channel is open to anyone. You sign up through there just to say that you're coming. It helps us just know like how many people are going to be there because it is done in the store. And then we do send out emails to remind everyone of when it's happening. So we like people to sign up. We basically just have that so that we know how many people are coming. And then you just show up the day of. It's completely free. And we just, talk about the book, talk about other books. We yap a lot. So it's a good time.
Love it.
We yap a lot too, so you're in good company here.
Yeah. What are some of the other books that you did for the sports book club this year?
So yeah, we did The Art of Catching Feelings by Alicia Thompson. That is a baseball romance. We did Deep End by Allie Hazelwood.
Swimming.
That one's swimming. Football was Red Card.
Awesome.
Love it.
So the New Romantics are celebrating their first anniversary this week. So what kind of exciting things can we look forward to in your now new year?
So definitely doing events, markets for the Dreamers always has our markets as well. It's associated with TNR. So we have a lot of exciting things planned. I'm very excited.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get over there more often. Happy birthday, New Romantics.
Yes. Super
Happy
exciting.
birthday.
All right, Rachel, now we are going to hit you with some rapid fire questions so that our Glovelies, our listeners, can get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Green.
What's your favorite musical artist?
Taylor Swift.
It's a girl of my own heart.
Any
I
other
love
one
that.
just wouldn't be appropriate.
Your favorite author?
So outside of sports romance, Abby Jimenez is my favorite author of all time. Definitely Chelsea Curto and Peyton Corinne.
Amazing. How do you take your coffee?
Sweet.
Okay. What is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is What a Girl Wants, which is like an oldie but a goodie.
Yes.
I have rewatched that movie so many
That
times.
is a great movie.
What is your comfort TV show?
So I don't watch a ton of TV anymore. I do spend most of my time reading, but Grey's Anatomy used to be my comfort TV show.
Okay.
That's mine too.
Okay. Last question, just to bring some baseball back into it. If you played baseball, what would your walk-up song be?
I picked Fergalicious.
Nice.
Yes, because I just think that would be so fun. But when I was looking at that question, I was like, oh my goodness, like Isaiah Rhodes, why are you so obsessed with me? That was just iconic. So I was thinking of that, but I'm like, Fergalicious would definitely be it.
Okay. Period. That's a good one.
Mhm. That is a
I
good
love
one.
that. All right. Now, Glovelies, let's go ahead and move on. We are going to dive right into our top 5 of the week. And this week, our top 5 is going to be our top 5 favorite romance novel tropes. So, for those of you who don't know what a romance novel trope is, I got you covered. I'm actually going to give some examples that are found in popular movies. So, these are just kind of like patterns and just general themes, archetypes that you'll see a lot in romance novels, romance films. So I'm going to give you some movie examples just in case you're not super into the pages. I got you. Okay, Rachel, would you like to go first with your number 5?
I would say number 5 would be Second Chance.
Love it.
Love it.
Melissa?
Okay, so this is where everyone's going to learn how completely unhinged I am. My first one, my number 5, is forced proximity. I am a fan of the forced proximity, and for those of you who don't know, I'll give you some examples. Oh, there's only one bed and we have to sleep together. Oh, we're coworkers. Oh, we're neighbors. Oh, we're roommates.
And they were roommates.
And I just freaking love that trope. And then some of my favorites, I just want to mention a couple for each one of mine. It's going to be like Heartbreak Warfare by Kate Stewart and Heather M. Orgeron, In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros, the ACOTAR series, A Court of Thorns and Roses, Outlander's that way. The Hunger Games is actually forced proximity, if you think about it. Yeah, definitely my number 5.
Hallie, what is your number 5?
My number 5 favorite trope out of all of the tropes is a fairy tale retelling. My first real romance novel that I ever read was an Eloisa James fairy tale retelling that she was doing 15 years ago. And so that book altered my brain chemistry. So that one was A Kiss at Midnight, but she did an entire series of fairy tales. And then An Offer from a Gentleman, which is the book that the next season of Bridgerton is based off of, is also a fairy tale retelling.
It
That's
is
fun.
But yeah, fairy tale retellings are my 5th favorite kind of romance trope to find.
Love that.
Courtney, how about you? What's your number 5?
My number 5 is forbidden romance. So friend, sibling, warring families, all of that. Any type of forbidden romance where they have to keep it a secret because if someone finds out, it'll be messy. My movie example, any iteration of Romeo and Juliet, West Side Story, High School Musical, all of the above.
What I
Love
love is I hated Romeo and Juliet in high school, like the play itself. I was like, this is dumb. Like they both die. Like what's the point? But West Side Story is one of my favorite musicals.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, well,
I think it adds more to the story than just like these are two like lovesick teenagers that are just dramatic.
The stakes feel more real because it's more recent events and it's tensions that are a little bit more relevant.
Rachel, what is your number 4?
Number 4, I'd probably say like Grumpy Sunshine.
Good one. Good one.
Nice.
Melissa, number 4.
All right, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it publicly.
All right, just say it.
I'm just gonna say it. My number 4 is Why Choose a Reverse Harem. Yes, I am one of those people who appreciates the one girl and multiple main male characters. It's a great source for spice, obviously, because if that's what you're in the mood for, you're going to get it with a reverse harem or a Why Choose. Some of my favorite Why Choose, the Ravenhood series, which I have raved about before. There's one called the Fate and Flame Duet, which is really good. The Architect by Nikki Sloan. There's a small series that I really, really love. It's called the Witsex series. It's by Ashley Ann Rostick. But yeah, I am a fan of the Why Choose and Reverse Harem.
All right. Hallie, what is your number 4?
My number 4, I don't know if there's a real name for it, but a dynamic I'm always excited to see is when one of the characters has like hidden depths underneath an effervescent personality, and then their lover just sees through all of it. to like the heart of them. There's just something so delicious and intimate about that it really excites me. I have a couple favorite examples. The Lady Gets Lucky by Joanna Shoup, A Gentleman Never Keeps Score by Kat Sebastian, and also We Could Be So Good by Kat Sebastian. She's really the queen of seeing through to the heart of you dynamic, and she's one of my favorite authors.
I will say Unloved by Peyton Corinne has that trope, and it was like heartbreaking. I was like 17% in and like sobbing because I knew exactly what he was hiding, and it made it like that much more like distraught to read. It was so good.
I
Love it. My number 4 is going to be childhood sweethearts reunited after being separated by time and or distance. And
Also really good.
sometimes it's time and distance. My movie example that I'm going to use for those of you who don't read a lot is Sweet Home Alabama. So Reese Witherspoon comes back to her hometown after a while. She's engaged to Patrick Dempsey, and she reunites with her ex-husband who happens to be her high school sweetheart. And the more time that she spends in her hometown, the more she realizes that they did have something special.
A book that was actually like that was in the premise was that it's like Sweet Home Alabama, which I have never seen. So sorry. I've never seen that movie. But Flirting with Disaster is that premise.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. It's really good.
All right, Rachel, what is your number 3?
I would say Enemies to Lovers, like Rivals to Lovers. I find that Enemies to Lovers is perfect for like romantasy, but Rivals to Lovers is best in contemporary romance and sports romance, just because you don't want the MMC to be too mean to the FMC. So I would say that would be my number 3.
That's a good one. Melissa, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Grubby versus Sunshine. I know I've said it before. I do love nothing more when a grumpy main male character gets broken down by a strong FMC and he just changes from this cranky curmudgeon into a smitten kitten. It works well with any trope. You can find it anywhere. Sports, romantasy, supernatural, mafia, military. I haven't mentioned military. I'm a huge fan of military romances too. The banter is usually really great with those. You get the sweeter, spicy scenes with those. And then some of my favorites are basically anything written by Mariana Zapata. She owns that trope big time. My Darling Venom, which is by Parker S. Huntington, really, really good. Things We Never Got Over, actually basically anything that's by Lucy Score in that trilogy there. And my favorite of all time, Bittersweet Symphony Duet. As I talked about in the second episode.
It's true. Hallie, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is a trope that's very popular on this list, forced proximity. I love when people are being held hostage by circumstance. One bed.
Yes.
Twist my arm.
Right?
But 2 of my favorite, Perfect Crimes of Marian Hayes by Kat Sebastian. She appears a lot on my favorites list. She's one of my favorite authors. I'll say that 4 more times. And A Week to Be Wicked by Tessa Dare.
Love that. My number 3 is the combination forced proximity and enemies to lovers combo. Personally, I think it's even better if they're coworkers on a business trip and there's only one bed. Come on. That is the universe telling you that it's time to cuddle and see what happens. Movie example is the Cameron Diaz and Ashton Kutcher movie, What Happens in Vegas. They get drunk and they get married and then they win the jackpot and then they actually don't like each other very much and they're fighting over the money, but the judge says that they have to stay married for 6 months. And they have to live in the same apartment together. And then if they both survive until the end of the 6 months, then they split the money. But of course, what happens? They fall in love.
Of course.
So
that's the nature of the forced proximity.
Exactly. It's just the universe saying, hey, Rachel, what is your number 2?
So my number 2 is going to be very similar to my number 1, but they are different and I will die on this hill. Marriage of Convenience.
Okay.
That is my fave. Well, second fave.
Melissa, what's your number 2?
I grouped many things under one, and my number 2 is Touch Her and Die. But in a book where you get the possessive Touch Her and Die MMCs, I'm here for it.
Danger.
Oh yeah, and that's also where you get some of the spiciest scenes, honestly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some of my favorites of that one, Lights Out. We talked about that one with Kay Awancio. That was her favorite of the year. There's a series called the Frozen Fate series and the Devil's Night series by Penelope Douglas. They are all really good touch her and die storylines.
All right, Hallie, what is your number 2?
My number 2 favorite trope is also Marriage of Convenience. I love it. I think it's so delicious. I love the wheeling and dealing of all of it. It's giving fairy tale to me. I don't know. I can't explain it. 2 that came to mind when I was putting the list together were The Duchess Steele by Tessa Dare, and then Texas Bride by Joan Johnston, which that's part of a whole like mail order Wild West bride series she did like 20 years ago.
I love it.
My number 2, I would say, is the cousin of Marriage of Convenience. It's Fake Dating.
Mm-hmm.
So your movie example is obviously something like The Proposal with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds. That is also kind of Marriage of Convenience, if you think about it a little bit. It's fake dating that turns into Marriage of Convenience, and then, as is with most rom-coms, they fall in love for real.
Yes, that is a very popular one in sports romance.
Let's get into our number 1 picks. So, Rachel, hit us with your number 1.
So, like I said, it was very similar to my number 2, but fake dating is my ultimate favorite trope. If it has fake dating, I'm automatically gonna like it. My favorite fake dating is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, which is actually my favorite book ever. Out of like the 600 romance books that I've read in the last 3 years, that has still been my number 1 favorite. And I didn't even realize until later when I was telling someone about it that it has fake dating in it. So it just makes sense that that's going to be my number 1 trope.
I love it.
Love that. All right, Melissa, what's your number 1?
My number 1, hands down, of all time is Enemies to Lovers. There is nothing better than watching 2 people realize that there is a thin line between love and hate. You get really good banter with Enemies to Lovers. You definitely get some really good spice scenes, and you can pair it with any trope. Some of my favorites, Rachel mentioned Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing is definitely Enemies to Lovers. LJ Shun does really good Enemies to Lovers, and so does Lucy Score. And if anyone's ever read Butcher and Blackbird, that's a little bit of Enemies to Lovers too.
All right, Hallie, what is your number 1?
My
Love it.
number 1 favorite trope of all time is so I'm going to read it word for word for how I typed it out. Accidental ping pong kiss at the hot springs on the school trip. This is a trope featured in reverse harem shoujo manga. And I'm not kidding. Out of all of the reverse harem shoujo manga I read as a teen, this happened in at least 3 series. Like most notably, My Heavenly Hockey Club, which is about field hockey, The Wallflower or Perfect Girl Evolution. I believe one happens in Ouran High School Host Club as well. Basically, what occurs is teens are on a school trip to a hot spring. All of the hot springs always have a ping pong room somewhere in them. They're always really worked up about something. So the girl and the main guy playing against each other, and then somehow trip and fall and end up kissing.
That is so weirdly specific, but I love it.
And if they kiss in the ping pong room by accident on the hot springs trip, they're endgame. So that's my favorite one.
Okay.
That is adorable, actually. I love that, Hallie.
Thank you.
That's so specific, and I'm not surprised at all.
No, I don't think anyone would be.
I love it. My number 1 is Grumpy versus Sunshine.
Yes.
I have lived Grumpy versus Sunshine several times, and it's just very satisfying to see it or read about it. Movie example, great movie example. Not to bring up Patrick Dempsey again, but Robert and Giselle from Enchanted. That's
It's
like
a good movie.
That's my ultimate Grumpy Sunshine. So yeah, I love to see the hard candy shell crack to reveal the gooey interior.
Oh yeah, because there's no reason why they're grumpy.
Yeah.
And that one person helps bring it out of them.
All right, Glovelies, what do you think of our top 5s? What is your favorite romance novel trope? Let us know in the comments and let us know what you thought of our picks. All right, Glovelies, before we sign off, I'm going to take a moment to shout out the amazing Rachel from the New Romantics in Winter Park, Florida for joining us today. Rachel, where can our listeners find you and the New Romantics if they want to follow more of your content?
So I am on Instagram as Rachel Reads Romance _. So I like to post on there, especially on my stories of all of the books that I'm reading. And then the New Romantics can be found through our website, thenewromanticsbooks.com, and on Instagram under the New Romantics Books. We're also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Threads. Threads is very popular. We are always on Threads. So yeah, any of those are always great. We're always posting all of our events on our website and on our Instagram. So those are always super exciting.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so fun having you, and hopefully we'll be able to have you back on. And happy birthday, New Romantics!
Yay!
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a fun time. Hopefully I will see you at the
course.
store soon.
Definitely. I have 2 books on the way.
Love it.
Definitely. All right, Glovelies. Before we wrap up, as always, we are going to leave you with some recommended media for this week, brought to you by our very own Melissa over at No Regrets Reader. Take it away, Melissa.
All right. So since we're talking romance novels this week, I'm going to bombard you guys, and I'm going to cover my favorite romance reads of 2025. Since we're getting close to the end of the year, we're going to start over a new year, and I'm going to be starting my list brand new and starting over, but I'm going to give you guys the stuff that I love the most this year. Some of them were just released this year. Some are just new to me in 2025 because I have a massive to be read list, and I finally got around to reading some of them this year. All of these books that I'm going to tell you guys about have a 5-star rating from me, and for the record, that's not something I give away lightly. In order for me to give it 5 stars, it needs to move me. Like, there needs to be something in there that makes me feel an emotional connection with the book. So with that said, here are my favorite 5-star reads from this year, and they are in no particular order because just like I can't choose a favorite among my children, I cannot choose a favorite among my books. So the first one is called the Frozen Fate series. It is a very, very dark captivity romance, complete with suspense and why choose storyline. It actually hits all of my top 5 tropes. I just realized that a little while ago. My next one on my list is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, which happens to be the 3rd book in the Empyrean series, which we talked about in episode 4 when we talked about Fourth Wing. Some people are calling this the filler book because, like I mentioned, there's going to be 5 books. This is the 3rd. So some people kind of feel like it's just a filler book, and a lot of people were kind of upset about the way that it ended. But for me, I'm still analyzing it months later with other people. I personally think it was a really great read for this year. My next one, Severed Heart by Kate Stewart. That one is the 2nd book in her Ravenhood Legacy series. This series is more about the actual Ravenhood itself, which is basically the club that the first series is based around. For those of you who are Ravenhood fans, this is Tyler's first story. Tyler's getting 2 books, but this is his first book, and there is a chapter where I bawled my eyes out. There's a pivotal moment. Fans know what that pivotal moment is. I cried for 2 straight days after reading that chapter. Like, it's just gut-wrenching. Next one, Grimm by DJ Krimmer and Joe Arden. Joe Arden is a narrator, but he also writes books. This one, you have to listen to it. It is a unique book about a Grim Reaper that saves a woman 9 days from her death date, and then he gets charged as her guardian until she officially dies and crosses over. It is a gothic romance with a full cast of narrators. The cast is honestly what put this book over into the 5-star range for me, and it includes Joe Arden himself and James Cassidy, who I had never really heard before, but I am going to listen to more of his books because his voice is magical. This next series is new to me for this year. It did not come out this year, but I finally have caught up to it. It is Magnolia Park series by Jessa Hastings. Outlander series. I finally got around to reading Outlander this year. Obviously new to me. This series has been out for 30 plus years. I can't believe I avoided this for as long as I did. I'm currently working my way through the show, and I can report that the seasons 1 through 3, probably the best book to TV show adaptations I have ever seen. Very accurate, very on point. And then just because I have to bring in a sports romance into it, the Boston Red series by Jenny Barra. It was my favorite baseball romance series of the year. I read a bunch of them this year, but this one was my favorite. There are 4 interrelated books that are already out. Another one is coming. It's all about a fictional MLB team called the Boston Revolutionaries. I enjoyed all of the storylines. There's a pretty good mix of tropes in there. And there is a delightful one that is an age gap coach best friend's daughter. One of the reasons why I picked up that series. It was really good. So I was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed that series. It was one I picked up randomly and turned out to be my favorite baseball romance of the year. So, but anyways, those are some of my favorites, my top reads of the year. 5 stars, like I said. And like I said, I do not give away those 5 stars. That 5th star, you have to earn that 5th star, and these all earned that 5th star.
As they should. Well, congrats to all those books that just earned 5-star ratings from Melissa. As you heard, it's not easy. All right, Melissa. Well, thank you so much for those recommendations. And if our Glovelies would like to make recommendations of their own or discuss any of these recommendations that you just gave them, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram and Facebook at no_regrets_reader. And if you have read any of these, especially if you've read Onyx Storm and you want to pontificate on possible theories, hit me up. I'm here for it.
All right. Well, Glovelies, that's going to do it for this episode of Glove Actually. Once again, I would love to thank Rachel from the New Romantics for joining us, and thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And be sure to turn on post notifications to stay in the loop when we post new episodes every Wednesday. All right, ladies, what are you looking forward to most this week in the world of baseball? Who do we hope has fun this week?
I hope that Cedric Mullins is having a good week this week. Miss Seti on the Orioles. He got traded to the Mets at the trade deadline this year, and now he is up for free agency. I've been trying to figure out the last couple days what's going on with Seti, and I have not seen any big news on him yet. So I really hope he lands somewhere that's going to make him happy. He deserves to be happy, even if he can't be with the O's.
Love you, Seti.
Yeah.
In a similar fashion, I hope that my forever Pookie Ryan O'Hearn has fun this week. And we are recording this right before Thanksgiving. And my Thanksgiving wish, if I get a Thanksgiving wish, is that a thing?
Yeah. Wishbone.
You know what? It is now. It's my Thanksgiving wishbone wish. Is for Ryan O'Hearn to get a big fat contract somewhere, because I need some morsel of information about where he will be landing, because right now I have no information, and that makes me very sad.
No.
So
one crappy post that said he might be going to the White Sox, and that is it. That is all we have seen this week.
I don't know.
I just
we'll
hope
see.
they get to be somewhere nice.
Anyway, Ryan O'Hearn, I hope you have fun this week. All right, Hallie, who do you hope has fun this week?
I hope everybody who had to host family for Thanksgiving is having fun this week. I hope you are recovering. I hope your home is back to normal. And I hope everybody in the region of the country where you can use the porch as your fridge, I hope you're all having fun too.
Nice. All right. Well, this has been Glove Actually. I'm Courtney.
I'm Hallie.
And I'm Melissa.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great week, Glovelies. And as always, be kind, keep it cute, and stay glovely.